In 2026, two new families have moved into the Counter-Strike suburbs. One includes two gay DILFs and their 3 children, and the other is a South African and American couple who is trying to solve world peace by taking in foster kids from every part of the world. First, it was Ukraine, and then they decided they needed someone from South America, so they picked up an Argentinian, and they thought that wasn't enough. We don't have enough parts of the globe covered, so we will also pick up a Mongolian. And now this family's on the trek to solve world peace. In the entire Counter-Strike suburb is thinking to themselves, wow, these two teams sure are exciting. Some think these teams are going to be incredible, while others think, how the fuck is this gonna work? Will they be the new most successful, popular families in the suburb, or will they be homeless by the end of the year? Farmlings, are you looking to quickly and easily sell your skins? Then check out today's sponsor, sellyourskins.com. All you need to do is sign in through Steam, select the skins you're looking to sell, pick from a wide range of payout methods, such as PayPal, bank transfer, or even crypto, and then use code Garmour for a 5% bonus. Hit the big sell your skins button, and voila, you have just turned your skins into real money. Along with this site has a great bonus system where the more you sell, the bigger bonus you'll receive. If you're looking to sell your skins today, hit the link in the description or use code Garmour. Thank you to them for sponsoring, and back to the video. 100 Thieves and Passion UA are both incredibly interesting teams this year. 100 Thieves built a roster honestly kind of how you would like them to. An incredibly strong coach in Glaive. I mean, we don't know if he'll actually be a strong coach, but he's won 4 fucking majors. I'm assuming he's gonna be pretty good. 2 veteran players in Rain and Device, and honestly the 2 most important positions on the team, the caller and the opper in my opinion. And 3 young riflers with a fairly high ceiling. Typically I think it's good to have a combination of veteran and rookie presence, and I think it's a good split. Okay, 2 veterans, 3 younger players, I think is good. Agile probably has a lower ceiling than Sierra and Poi, but as the anchor support player, he doesn't need to be like this insane crackhead. Of course it would be helpful, but I think more of it comes down to how good Sierra and Poi are going to be in tier 1. They're both very impressive in tier 2, but now is the time to prove themselves. We'll have to see exactly how all the roles work out, but it's you know, it's an interesting combination of players for sure. Rain is the IGL. Will he work? I've said this many times. I would follow Rain into war. I think he could be a very good leader. I don't know how good of a tactician he will be, but then again, what the fuck do we have Glaive here for? And then Passion UA. JT has been around forever and he is a fairly solid IGL, but it doesn't seem like he's really ever had the pieces to show what he's fully capable of. And I would say now he is starting to get them. We have Ukrainian Kavem on the team, who is their opener, and he has been pretty solid with them since he's joined, posting a 1.13. Argentinian Opper Try from Imperial. Eye test wise, he passes with flying colors. He seems to be an incredibly good Opper. In 2025, he had a 1.24 rating, but he did go down to a 1.06 against top 20 teams. But then again, he is also in Imperial jail. I don't know what you really expect from him. We have Nicholas X as the anchor support player, who I did think was going to be the one to get replaced, and that would be extremely weird for the roles on the team. But it seems like they're actually keeping him, and instead Grim is going to be the one who's replaced by Senzu, which honestly makes more sense. There was some weird kind of overlap with Grim and Kavem, and there will be some weird overlap with Senzu and Kavem as well, but I'm sure they can work it out. Anyways, I'm sure you guys know of Senzu. You know, he was the 13th best player of 2025. He was in a major final, and well, now he is going to be on this global super they're not a super team, but a global good team. And my main question is how is everyone's English? My other question, of course, is with both of these rosters being the most exciting teams going into the year, who is going to end up being better? I could see them honestly both work out and be solid top 10 teams, and I could also see them kind of flounder and fail. I'd say probably the safer bet is to say 100 Thieves is going to be the better team, but I do also think 100 Thieves is probably 1 or 2 roster moves away from really being there. But I mean, their current roster has looked incredibly strong. They have already skyrocketed up the VRS rankings, even getting to the point where they are now higher ranked than Passion UA is. But besides that as well, when we look at these teams and I compare IGL, Op, Coach, and Rifling Corps, it is incredibly hard to say because we haven't seen long-term how these 100 Thieves players are going to work in their roles. And kind of the same thing with Passion UA. We know that JT is fairly good as a caller, but how is Senzu in this Rifling Corps going to work out? How is Try going to work out on this team? There's so many unknowns. And even Glaive, who I think is going to be a phenomenal coach, we don't know for sure. Literally, the only known aspect of these two teams, I would say for me, is Device and JT. We know Device is going to be a solid Opper. He's not going to be anything insane at this point of his career, but he'll be fine. And we know JT is a good caller, but can he make an absurd team like this work? For me, this really comes down to 4 players. How good is Sierra and Poi gonna be? If one or both of them are really as good in tier 1 as they were in tier 2, 100 Thieves can easily be a top 10 team. I do still think there is a couple roster moves they could make in the future, like eventually replacing Device with a younger, more crackhead Opper. And on Passion UA, it literally is just gonna be how does Try and Senzu fit into that team. And here are my main 2 takes on how these teams are gonna work out. But just know, I want both of them to work out badly. I love any new teams that are exciting, and they are both extremely exciting. But I do think 100 Thieves is gonna slowly work their way up through the ranks and eventually start competing in S-tier tournaments. Currently, Polymarket has them slightly unfavored to make a tier 1 tournament this major cycle, but I do think if they aren't good enough to make one this major cycle, they will probably make one next major cycle. And I do genuinely believe over the course of this year, we will see this team peak anywhere from like number 8 in the world to maybe number 15. But I do think, like I said, they are a couple roster moves away from being an elite team. I'm gonna believe in the Rain Glaive IGL coach combo for now and say that eventually Device and Agile will need to be replaced. I don't know exactly how soon it will be, but I think those are 2 moves they'll have to make to really elevate themselves to the next level. Who the replacements will be, I mean, it does kind of depend on what tier 2 is looking like at that point in the future, or if they're able to acquire anyone from tier 1 teams that is about to get benched. It's hard to say now what replacements for them could be in 6 months to a year, but I do think 100 Thieves is going to be a solid good team and then eventually elevate themselves with roster moves in the future. And my take on Passion UA, see, I want Passion UA to work out so badly. I really do. They are such a cool team, but it's almost too gimmicky for me. Like, what the fuck do you mean we have 1 player from every single continent damn near? We're just missing what, Antarctica and Australia? Get Azarin as a coach and like a penguin as a mascot and we're fucking golden. But I feel like teams like this that look like they could really work on paper but are slightly gimmicky tend to not work out as much. No, I don't think Passion UA is going to be bad by any means. I do think they're actually going to be better than they were before. I for sure could see a solid top 15 team, kind of similar to 100 Thieves, but I think 100 Thieves project is going to work out better in the long term, and Passion UA might see more short-term success, but longer term, I think they're going to end up making some roster moves. It's not going to be, you know, a full global team anymore at some point. I don't know if the current iteration of 5 players around the globe is going to work. That's all that I'm saying. And honestly, at this point, it's kind of a race between these 2 teams just to see who is going to make the Cologne Major, because neither one of them are guaranteed a spot. And while I'm going to be honest, I'm fairly confident 100 Thieves will make it. I do think they are good enough to, but Passion UA, fellas, you're gonna have to lock in. Your one saving grace is that you can play through the Americas, which should be easier to make than the EU one, but even still, you're pretty far down on the list, so you gotta start grinding these tier 2 tournaments quickly. Hello guys, it is me, Fraudmore, back on another day in a different outfit. I have to come clean. Originally, this video was gonna be just talking about 100 Thieves and Passion UA, and then I realized the video was a total of 8 minutes. But I decided in order to make this video kind of a normal length to what I would normally have, I'm changing the topic slightly to the most entertaining teams in Counter-Strike in 2026. And I think that totally is fair because 100 Thieves and Passion UA are incredibly exciting. You know, despite Passion UA kind of having a bit of a rocky start, I'm still excited to watch them throughout the rest of this year. And another team I'm incredibly excited to watch is Foot. Foot is kind of taking over the scene as a big fan favorite at this point. I don't know a single motherfucker who doesn't like feet. And well, it's for good reason. This organization first entered Counter-Strike in 2025 with a lineup consisting of Devo Duvek, Drac, Jax, Masuda, Nivera, and Falco as a coach. Then they eventually decided they did not want to be a tier 2 French team and signed the Navi Junior team because Navi was shopping them. You see, their academy team ended up being too good to where they could have been qualifying to tier 1 tournaments, but they couldn't because Navi was already attending them. And you can't have an org with 2 different teams enter a tournament. So they were kind of suffering from success, and they thought it would be best to sell them off to a different org. That's when Foot stepped in and acquired Demon, Krebeni, Symmetry, Jugs, and Coolio as a coach, with the only player they weren't able to get being Makaze because he joined the Navi main team. To start, they would keep Masuda in as the 5th from the old roster, but eventually they'd acquire Lon X from Nexus Gaming instead. And while this team was good to end 2025, ending the year as the number 19 ranked VRS team in the world. They have looked even better in 2026, currently at the time of me recording being ranked number 13th. And well, buddies have been doing work in tier 1. At Blast Bounty, they beat OG in their opening game 2-0, and then brought Furia, the number 2 ranked team in the world at the time, to 3 maps, barely losing on the final decider, Dust 2, 13-11. They made it to stage 2 of IEM Krakow, where this time they got their revenge on Furia, winning 2-0, barely lost to G2, 1-2, and then sadly lost 1-2 to Astralis. Then at Cluj, they barely missed out on playoffs, going 2-3, with their 3 losses being to Furia, Mouse, and Parivision. I mean, what are you gonna do? Literally 3 of the best teams in the world at the moment, and so far have also looked great at ESL Pro League Season 23. I think Foot is just an incredibly easy team to root for, because who doesn't like up-and-coming young talent? And I mean, this is literally just an entire team of up-and-coming young talent. I'm pretty sure this is the most success an academy team has had since Prime Gambit, and you literally look at the team, every single player on this roster, maybe besides Symmetry, could probably move to another tier 1 team and be an upgrade. Demon is a freak closer who has one of the highest headshot percentages in the scene, I'm pretty sure. Lawn X has completely broken out with this team, honestly being one of the best openers in the world, I would say. Krabeni has surprised people because while being the team's IGL, he still is putting up incredibly good numbers. Symmetry is a fine opera. I think he gets dogged on a little too much, mostly just because if this team had a top 5 opera, they literally would look unstoppable in most people's opinion. But like, Symmetry isn't horrible. There's definitely worse operas. And Jugs is an incredibly good anchor support player. This team literally feels like they are on the brink of truly being like a top 8 team in the world. At this point, they just need their one good playoff run. Next is, no surprise, it's gotta be Parivision. I'd say for a majority of people, the 2 most obvious predictions for this year on teams that would break out is Foot and Parivision, because despite a kind of scuffed tenure towards the end of VP, everyone still had a ton of respect for Jame and what he could do. And you throw him on a team of tier 2 Russian riflers, throws Wayon here who got kicked for not being good enough for Spirit, and you get a team that wins the first S tier event of the year, peaking at number 4 in the world. The rise of Parivision has been incredibly fun to watch. Jame individually also looks back in form. The clips Jame has hit this year, oh my goodness. That clip of him on Dust Too Long, where he lets the first guy pass and shoots the second guy because he knows the first one has a pistol. He waits for him to pull his nade out and kills the guy with the gun, and he ends up getting all 3. That is one of the smartest plays I've ever seen. Along with him, watching Zwei play incredibly well after his tenure on Spirit is kind of extremely satisfying as well. And then Zelo, Noda, and Belchanok all have their moments. It's kind of a weird team because there isn't really one extreme star player. Everyone on the team is just good, and most of the highlights do end up coming from Jame. The only thing you can say about this team is they're a little up and down, which considering how young a majority of the team is, I do get. But like, they win Blast Bounty, then they get 13th to 16th at IEM Krakow, going out in last place of the main event, tied with NRG and BC Game. But then they simply follow that up by making the finals of Cluj, and then can't make it out of stage 1 of ESL Pro League. All that we've really learned from this is they're most likely going to be in the final of the next event they play. You know, if we're following the pattern at least. But honestly, man, it's really cool to see Jame and Dastan back on a top team. I mean, not even back on a top team. They built this team from the ground up. They're very fun, and it does feel like Jame has evolved as well. He still has all of the annoying to play against aspects of his old game, but like, we've seen Jame go for a 1v3 this year. We've seen Jame call more aggressive plays that we weren't used to before. And so it's not like this classic old slow style that we're used to. While there are still some aspects of that, it seems like he's really found a good middle ground with this team. The next team I am incredibly excited for is Focus. And Focus might not have as high of a ceiling as a lot of these other teams I'm talking about, but if you're an OG, the Jorko breakout is fucking coming. We've been calling this for years. I'm just playing, guys. You know I couldn't put Duncan number 1. Duncan! Focus literally entered Counter-Strike and immediately went on to qualify for PGL Bucharest, an S-tier event. It took them no time at all. And this is off the back of kicked IGL from Gamer Legion ZTR, another old Gamer Legion player in Volt, Banjo, who most recently played for Fireflux, where he posted a 1.1. Like we talked about, Jorko is the opper for this team, and a player who I had never heard of prior to this, in Mateos, I think is how you say his name. He played for Copenhagen Wolves before this, posting a 105. 5. It seems like a common theme for a lot of the teams that I'm talking about today. There's a lot of players proving that they have what it takes. I guess like kind of revenge in a way. Jane proving he still got juice. Zwei proving he's got juice. ZTR proving he still has juice. You know, Rain on 100 Thieves. I guess even Senzu on Passion UA. Although I'm pretty sure most people thought he would still have juice. And oh yeah, they also have Coach Cuban, who has been around the block over the past couple years, but you probably know him from being on Prime VP. Well, for most of Prime VP. He wasn't there for their major win, but he was there from 2015 onward. Yeah, overall, an incredibly cool team. They haven't played a ton of games. There isn't like a super lot to talk about with them, but I will be keeping my eye on them because they really did just come in out of nowhere and start farming. Like they beat Bet Boom, Inner Circle, Eyeballers, and Inner Circle again. These are all pretty good tier 2 teams. Like they're not nobodies. You wouldn't expect a brand new project like Focus to work this quickly, but it has. And lastly, there's going to be 2 teams here who I am incredibly excited for, but I don't know if most of the community will be, and that is Astralis and MIBR. Who would have thought Astralis's roster moves would have worked out as well as they did? Fuzi and Ryu look like significant upgrades from Device and Magisk, and along with them, Stare has looked incredibly comfortable on the team so far this year. He's been playing great as well. You know, Astralis going not fully international, they still are majority Danish, but adding non-Danish players seems kind of weird in the moment, but it seems like up to this point it was an incredibly solid move. They could still definitely replace Yabby at some point, I'm thinking, but so far this year the Astralis project has looked pretty good. They barely missed out on the playoffs of Blast Bounty, losing to Parivision, who ended up winning the entire event, was 1 game away from the playoffs of Krakow, where they lost to Furia, the number 2 team in the world, and once again were 1 game away from playoffs at Cluj, losing in the final game to Aurora. They're on like a very similar level to Foot right now, where they're on the brink of going into the playoffs and maybe making a run, but they just kind of need to get over that hump of actually making it to the playoffs first. And well, MIBR, first of all, Insani is a fucking freak. Okay, I always like watching Insani. Second of all, Klim fries in tier 2 Brazil. I want to see if he is the real deal or not. And of course, LNZ, who if MIBR turns out to be good, is going to continue the trend of players proving that they got juice. LNZ can get revenge on Heroic for benching him for Chris Sin. You know, they've got the revenge arc European caller of LNZ, the young European opping talent of Klim, and the demonic opener of Insani. Those 3 pieces by themselves are enough to get me excited. I think those are 3 really interesting pieces to see, you know, how they'll play against teams in tier 1. The other 2 riflers on the team, it's like just put anyone in there that's decent. This team runs through the other 3 players in my opinion anyways. They also have a European coach now as well, who joined the team in early 2026. And I mean, since the year has started, they've been dominant in tier 2 Brazil, but like you would kind of expect them to be pretty dominant. It's not really anything incredibly impressive, but it has been enough to give them a very respectable VRS ranking. So, you know, sooner or later, we are going to see these boys playing in tier 1. So far this year, as you would expect, Klim and Insani are frying. They're easily the team's 2 highest rated players. So, you know, I don't know, man. I just like how this team was constructed. MIBR has been kind of stinking up the place for quite a while now. So I do get kind of being unsure that this team is going to be any different. And who knows, maybe it won't be. But I'm still excited to watch them play nonetheless. Anyways, that's it for me on this video, fellas. Let me know down below, who are you most excited to watch this year? Or if it was one of the teams I mentioned, give your personal reason as to why you're so excited to watch them. If you liked the video, like, subscribing if you enjoy the content, turn on notifications if you want to be notified. And that's it for me, fellas. I will see you guys next time.